Today on Nerdy Gritty, with Warner Brothers announcing that the next Batman Arkham game will be a shared video game universe, we ask, how would a shared video game universe work?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerdy Gritty,
There you go.
where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm trying to come up with a funny thing now.
Right. I feel like
know
every
my
time,
name?
because we've done that the last couple of times.
I am Batman.
No, you are Fox. I am Dez. And this is our podcast
I'm the
shared
darkness.
universe. I'm the night.
And
We
Bruce
are
Wayne
the
is
Nerdy
Batman.
Gritty. That's true. Oh, yeah. Also
Spoilers.
that.
Hey,
Hey, you know what happened recently?
things.
The big game.
The big game.
And
the
when
Puppy
people
Bowl.
when people know about Dez and Fox and the Nerdy Gritty
Sports.
is we like to talk.
We
them big
like
games.
sports, and we don't care who
We
knows.
did have the Nerdy Griffey for a while.
We did. That was a very successful offshoot, but
Yeah.
it became about the money, and we kind of ended. We decided to stop doing
had
that.
To, we do jump back occasionally though.
Occasionally,
when I
yeah.
can, I steer us back to the
Yeah,
Nerdy Griffey.
absolutely.
The big game came, but more importantly, with the big game came a lot of good previews and things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Just Quiet Place 2 had a preview.
That came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but
Was there a new one?
yeah, there's a new 30-second Super Bowl
Okay.
one that has John
Yeah.
Krasinski in it because
Wait. Oh, just flashbacks. I
yeah,
assume.
yeah. So
Or
because part of it is like the first day it looks
he was
like
yeah.
when they figure it out.
He wanted to be in it again, and that's why they wrote it that way.
It's a family thing.
Sure.
He wanted to be there with his
I'm excited
wife.
about that. But there was another preview.
There was another preview that we're going to talk about a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's Disney Plus's Marvel TV shows.
Yeah.
It had
The next 3 of them.
Right.
Because
It had-
there's plans for like 12.
and snippets of Captain
Yeah,
Falcon.
the Falcon and
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki.
and Loki. And Loki was just this little like
Very small part at the
right
end.
where he is clearly in some sort of like cell prison.
It's an actual
garb.
thing. He is been arrested apparently by like the Time Variance Authority,
Oh,
which is what both the DC and the Marvel universe have something like this, where it's like these people monitor the time stream and make sure, which is really stupid to me.
It's one
But
of those things that you have to do when you have a world in which there is that much time travel available. Like
Yeah.
Flash, literally whenever he wants, can time travel.
Right.
So you have to have things like
I forget. Yeah, there's
The,
DC seems to have
not-
like 6 of them.
not Rainbow Rider, like the black skier or something really dumb like that. Whatever it is, it looks kind of like the Flash, but he's on
Yeah.
skis and he
Oh,
travels through the
man.
Speed Force
So
to make sure that people aren't
dumb.
messing with the time.
Really, what it is MacGuffin.
Yes.
It's crap. We went too far with this. How do we get it back?
Right, absolutely. But anyway, so Loki's there in some sort of cell
And he
uniform.
says he's gonna burn the place
I'm
down.
gonna burn this place down, and it was really cool because it was a much more of a glimpse into like Avengers Loki instead of Thor
instead
Ragnarok
of
Loki,
anti-hero
Yeah,
kind of person that
yeah.
we come to know.
So,
But-
what was most interesting to me was WandaVision.
Yeah, that looks real fun.
So the scenes that they have are absolutely like Dick Van Dyke
Yeah,
or
that's a little like there's I Love Lucy, the Brady Bunch.
yeah,
There was a '90s one that looked very similar to I think like Roseanne.
Mm.
There were very brief flashes of little like tributes to various sitcoms throughout TV history.
but all of them about familial happiness, like
Right,
all of them
right,
some sort of
right.
like perfect situation with the Vision,
Yeah.
and with Scarlet Witch living happily ever after,
Right.
Which to me that like reeks of House of M.
Yeah,
The
no,
beginning
it's
of House of
clearly
M.
going to be her mind is on the fritz.
Yes.
And she's trying to deal with it
Oh man,
after the grief of loss that she's experienced. That looks really
Ooh.
interesting. And I am very excited.
yeah, it looks real cool. I'm excited for the opportunities that can come from it.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, I have a question for you.
What's your question?
Who's the last person on Earth that you want to have control of the Death Note?
Donald Trump? You're looking at me. Okay.
Well, don't read the new Death Note one-shot then.
Oh no. Are you serious?
I am serious. This is an official Death Note. Ended in 2006, the manga. But we still get like one shots every once in a while and things like that. Creator, this is from the creator of Death Note, not like fan fiction, nothing. This is an official release. Basically, it has Ryuku, like the demon guy.
Ryu Hayabasha.
Sure, I don't know. Oh, is that the Street Fighter guy? Yeah. I didn't know his last name. Anyway, he comes back and basically is like, I'm gonna give a Death Note to this person for whatever reason, and then that person says we're gonna auction it off. So basically, because at this point it's in this main storyline, so whoever the Kira is a household name. Everybody knows about all of this. Essentially, it gets to a point where the only two like wealthy enough. It's not just Donald Trump. It's him as president of the United States, and then Xi Jinping, president of China.
Oh my gosh!
They're the only two people wealthy enough to be able to afford buying the Death Note once the auction gets high enough.
That wouldn't be. I guess maybe if they're using money of the country,
they are. Okay, neither of them can.
Then. Yes.
Well, we're anyway.
They were human beings vastly
speak.
More wealthy than either of them. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. Eventually, Donald Trump buys it for $10 trillion. We're in a lot of debt already. We're now
kidding.
10 trillion more.
Ironically,
he probably borrowed it from China to do so.
The whole world is like $800 trillion in debt or something like that.
Yes.
And I always wonder to myself, to who?
To each other.
If we're all in debt to each other, why don't we just kind of cancel some of that out
mutually
right now?
assured cancellation there. I want Bernie Sanders to have it.
I could see Bernie Sanders having the Death Note.
And not doing anything
and being
with it.
fine with it. Yeah, I could see that. He would share it with everybody.
He'll just write...
Wait, no! Don't do that!
No, he'll just like write his grocery list in there. And...
Hey, Fox.
Wait a minute, does that work?
We've been playing Luigi's Mansion 3.
We have.
How have you felt like morally about Luigi's Mansion 3? How have your...
in the actual like content of the game? I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you're okay
with it. They seem to be
it?
doing bad and we're not killing them. We're just vacuuming them up.
Well, recently Kotaku had an interview with Luigi's Mansion 3 developers on the moral choices of Luigi's Mansion 3.
I didn't know there were choices.
Money, moral choices, Luigi's approach to heroism, but a lot of different things. But on everything, one of the things they talked about was the moral decision to suck up Morty, the director ghost.
Oh, I guess that is the one point where it's like...
at one point, I don't know if this episode is released yet, but there is one boss ghost on a floor.
Yes.
In which, when you defeat, he releases like a kaiju ghost on you.
Yeah. And the boss fight is not against the him. It's against...
And when you defeat this kaiju ghost, he's recording it all because he's a film director.
Right.
He's like, that was incredible. I need to go edit this right away. And he takes off into the editing
and he
room.
leaves.
And you could walk away.
You could just walk away.
And you could apparently finish the entire game with no problem at all.
He doesn't come back. He's just editing his film.
We chose to go in there.
Immediately.
Well, I didn't know where he was. I was just like, okay, let's search all the rooms. Oh, he's in here now.
Hey, did you play Ocarina of Time?
I did.
One of the greatest games of all time,
Absolutely,
right?
Yes.
Phenomenal. How long did it take for you to beat that game?
Oh,
I understand. Even at your best, you probably played it multiple times. I have.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Guesstimate.
30 hours.
30 hours. I think that's fair. It was a pretty large game for the time.
It was a big one.
Had like an open world that you didn't really see very often. 30 hours, I would say, is not fair, or is not an unfair guess. I want you to guess now what the current speed run is of Ocarina of Time.
I'm going to guess an hour and a half.
It's a little lower.
An hour?
It's a little lower.
Half an hour?
9 minutes.
9 minutes?
9 minutes and 57 seconds. We're going to get a little technical. I've been watching a lot of speedruns lately.
No kidding. Okay.
And this one was not done at GDQ or anything. It was just done on a guy's stream. 9 minutes, 56 seconds. It's all possible thanks. This is a Kotaku article. Ocarina of Time speedruns are now under 10 minutes because reality is a lie made to be broken. By Heather Alexandra. Let me get down back to that paragraph. It's all possible thanks to a trick called SRM, or stale reference manipulation. This broad term refers to a set of glitches that allow players to overwrite the game's memory values to affect actors and items within the game world. This makes it possible to perform, quote, arbitrary code execution, a process through which players can perform seemingly random actions that allow them to execute modified code.
Okay. I don't fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah, me neither.
So in my brain, this is what I'm picturing. They have somehow plugged their keyboard into the front port of the N64, and they are typing into the DOS system of it.
No.
And they put reality is beat.
Reality equals no.
Game equals win and hit enter.
No, that's more work, actually. Essentially, there is a way, if you watch, I watched the speedrun because it's only 9 minutes and 56 seconds. You can watch it real fast. Basically, you can just do actions in the game, actual actions in the game, jumping, slicing your, hitting things with your sword, using a certain item in the right spot. If you do them in very specific ways, it, for some reason, will actually modify the code of the game. Which means that if you do the very specific things in the very specific way at the right frames, all this, and then you go through a specific door, I think it was, once you exit out of that door, the credits roll.
Who does this? Who figures this out?
It's insane.
Netflix has announcements about Stranger Things Season 4.
Okay.
Which will apparently be the final season of Stranger Things.
I'm glad for that.
It will be broken into 2 parts, and after that, Stranger Things is done. So here's my question to you, Fox.
Is it, though?
What do you want to see in Stranger Things Season 4? Knowing this is it, knowing it's all done, what do you want to see in Stranger Things Season 4?
I want it to get weirder. I want it to get... Typically, it's just been Upside Down has a monster that's trying to come into the real world and kill people, or at least will buyers, and that's basically been every single season, and that's been frustrating to me. I would like more expansion of, I would love other characters that have powers to come into mix. I don't think they accomplished that very well in the second season.
I agree.
I want it to be done a little better than that, because it didn't really have any purpose in the story. And yeah, I want more than what they've done, and I want weirder monsters. I don't know, I just want Stranger Things to happen.
Nice. I want them to be in the Upside Down.
That'd be cool. I would love it if it was majority of the time exploring the Upside Down.
And them having to, like, maybe finding their nega selves or something.
Ooh. Their stranger selves?
Yeah. And in some way, it's like the dark side of them.
You know how I could see that happening? Is that, what's the Hop? Hop shows back up. But there's just something off about him.
Ooh.
Turns out he's Nega Hop.
Or Barb. Barb just shows up.
Yes, I've wanted Barb the whole time.
Justice for Barb.
She should come back at the end as Warrior Upside Down Woman.
That would be so
kill
cool.
Nega Hop. And
oh man,
I've wanted her to show up just like knowing what's going on and being like, oh, this is how you kill him.
Well, Fox, what have you been up to, man?
I went. Well, okay, so my in-laws were in town this week, which was a really great time, and I really love when they come out. We did a bunch of cool stuff. One of those things was go to our local barcade, Ground Control, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this isn't me reviewing Ground Control or any specific game. This is me just realizing I would rather pay $20 for unlimited free play of, at a place like that, at an arcade, rather than only spend $10 but have to put in the quarters. There's such a weird psychological...
The quarters are $10 worth of an effort for you?
No. It's just, there's a weird psychological thing where it feels like I'm spending more money because I'm consistently spending it.
That's why so many arcades have gone to the credit card.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You go up to the thing and you put in $20 and then it spits out a credit card that has $20 of value on it. And you spend that so much faster.
Right. Because you just swipe. I mean, that's credit cards in general.
Right.
They become normalized, but that's true for sure.
I last night watched Lion King, the live action Lion King, just came out on Disney Plus.
I watched that a few months ago.
And it's not great.
No.
It's not great.
It's weird.
It's real weird.
It's Uncanny Valley for sure.
And see, I don't even know if I describe it as Uncanny Valley. To me, what it looks like is sometimes on YouTube, people put up videos of them like voiceovering their cat while their cat just does cat things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny, and there's definitely a disconnect there.
Right.
I wouldn't say the disconnect is because of its Uncanny Valley. I'd say it's because the animal looks like an animal.
Yeah.
And the voices are humans.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and there was no emotion because animals don't have an emotion.
Animal faces don't have the same emotional output than at least as we can interpret.
And it was so hard to relate to these animals while they went through their animal problems.
I saw the Gentleman, the new Guy Ritchie gangster movie.
How was it?
It was fun. It was a
good.
fun, like it didn't have it was much more, I guess, accessible than like Lock, Stock and Barrels or Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels or Snatch. Mm-hmm. Those were very fast moving, very deep in the British slang territory. The rhyming slang and all that, which even it's like people who are English or British don't understand British, Cockney rhyming slang a lot. Like, so
the posh British people are just like, what's they talking about?
Yeah, this was much less about. There was certain characters that spoke in that way sometimes, but a couple of the main characters were American.
Yeah,
which really helped. So I really enjoyed it.
I have been playing the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. Finished it. It's going up on our channel now. In fact, as you're hearing this, it may be done. It may all be there.
Already?
There's only 6 episodes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was interesting because the first half of it was going through the final part of the game over again, because in the final part of the game, Sora gets separated from everybody else, and this kind of goes through what happened with everybody else.
Okay.
But also Sora's there for some of it. And you go through the exact same things that you went through as Sora. You just go through them over again. Identical cutscenes sometimes. To the point that there was a point in my recordings, like starting episode 2 or 3, that I'm like, I don't know if I accidentally loaded an old save or not. I'm not certain if at some point oh wait, no, this is a little bit different. Okay, here we go. No, this is different. So that was definitely frustrating and confusing, but the second half of it was very good.
Okay.
And they had some really good Kingdom Hearts spectacle moments. I don't want to spoil anything, but suffice to say that you get to, in some small way, take control of like 10 different Keyblade wielders. And
in a big battle, right?
Yeah.
Not just in the game.
Right.
Okay.
And it's super cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was a lot of fun, and you get to fight as Kairi in one of it.
Okay.
And so
Kairi, did she have a Keyblade?
Yeah, she's a Keyblade.
Everybody gets Keyblade.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. What also I realized is that obviously Leonard Nimoy cannot voice Xehanort anymore.
Oh,
He
sure.
was the original voice. But they have the new voice talking, and I don't know how I missed it the first time I played through it, but now I'm listening. I'm like, wait a second, that's Christopher Lloyd. That's Doc Brown.
They got
man.
Doc Brown to replace Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got.
That's all I've got. You ready to get down to the nerdy gritty?
Let's do it.
Hello all, we're just going to take a quick break here before we get down to the nerdy gritty and just talk to you about our Patreon. Now, if you're hearing this, that means you're listening to what we call the short version of the podcast, and just want to point out that after this a little ad break we're having here, the actual nerdy gritty discussion, that is not edited. But as you probably have heard, the before part, the intro where we just talk about what we've been up to, that is. If you'd like to hear the extended version, what we call the director's cut, head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/dezandfox. If you become a tier 2 or tier 3 patron, then you gain access to the director's cut every week, as well as all of the rest of the content we put on Patreon. That's bonus episodes, early episodes, demos that we play. A whole lot of stuff gets put up there. In fact, if you go to tier 3, you can put some input in on what we play. But if you can't get in on that, if you can just support us by listening and sharing and commenting on whatever platform you're listening, then we really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we will...
This is over a minute, you amateur.
I have failed, and I'm so sorry. Please don't hurt me.
Recently, Warner Brothers, their development, or not development, but their game publishing arm, announced that the next game in the Arkham series, the Batman Arkham series, will, I believe, I should probably have this open, shouldn't I? Will be a reboot of the series, I believe, and also be the kickoff to a shared gaming universe. Specifically DC, of course.
Right.
As in, similar to, and we'll get into how it can, our idea, we'll get into it a little deeper, but similar to like the MCU or like DC tried, a shared universe where different movies and different games, in this case, will interact and connect to each other. And we wanted to talk about today, because that's an interesting concept.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's been very successful for the MCU, and... it could have been successful for others. They just didn't do a good job.
Right.
And I have wondered briefly before, like, could a game series do this? And so I'm kind of excited for this. So what we're going to talk about today specifically is how would this work? How would it work to create a series of games that are interconnected, especially considering the idea that you have DC characters here, which can vary wildly in abilities, and I think it might. We'll get into it. So, when you first heard about this idea, does it seem like it's a good idea to you? Or
yes,
yeah,
I think it's a very good idea.
Okay,
particularly in an online world.
Oh, it's a soft reboot.
It's a soft.
I'm so
reboot.
sorry.
Yeah. Particularly in an online world, because I think there's a lot of really fun potential of things you can do in a shared universe.
Okay.
Not just for the storyline, because it's pretty easy to have your Batman game have things happen, and then when your Flash game comes out, he talks about the things that happen.
Yeah,
in
you
the
look at a
Batman game.
newspaper and it says Batman foiled the Joker again. And
Right.
You're like, oh, I played that
shared
game.
universe. Yeah, exactly. That's not that difficult. But you know what I think would be super cool? The Batman and the Flash game released at the same time, and you reach a mission where you as Batman need help, and you connect online to somebody who's actively playing their Flash game, and it's a shared mission.
So you're
that
saying
you guys have.
bring back Flash Player,
Yes.
and we play a lot of like Bloons games and tower defense on.
One more
Okay,
level,
interesting.
or
Yeah, let's hit up
Newgrounds or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Hit up miniclip.com.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. No. Okay, so you're playing the Flash game.
Yep.
I'm playing the Batman game.
Sounds about right.
And I get to a point in where there's a mission that I know I need the Flash's help, and I'm about to start this mission.
Okay.
And you have your online, like, because they do this in Dark Souls all the time, where you just ring the bell and it says, okay, you're searching for a game. You have something on that says you're searching for a game.
Yeah, you play.
I go to start my mission, and in your game, whatever you're doing, you stop, and Batman comes up on your screen and he says, Flash, I need your help.
Yeah,
with
you've
blah,
got
blah,
your
blah,
Justice
blah."
League communicator thing.
Communicator, yeah. And you go and you help him in your game. And the things that you guys do together in that mission, he in the Flash game, you in the Batman game, affects both of your worlds.
Okay. All right. I like
vice
the idea.
versa
I
for
didn't
that.
think about the online capability of like actually interacting with another player. And I think
Right.
that's an interesting concept. I like the idea in theory. I don't think it can work very well.
What?
I don't like not the online thing. I think that's
No,
kind
go
of
ahead.
cool.
I'll
If they're
fight
going to
you.
do it, I think that's fine. I think it will have the same problem that the DC extended universe has, where
Oh, take that, my microphone.
throughout Batman v Superman and also especially Justice League, and it even ran into this problem at the end of Justice League. I mean, you can have certain characters not be in it, or just like they're dead or whatever, but Superman doesn't need anybody's help. Like the story, most of the storylines I've ever read where it has like the Justice League fighting, like I hated the Justice League comic series that I read for a while, like the Rebirth, because every single story arc was, here's the new universe destroying, everything will come to an
the
end.
Power creep of it.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was from the get-go. It always had to be everything will be destroyed unless the Justice League come together. And even then, Batman ain't got much to do.
See, and this is where
the Flash can do it faster, so just let him do it.
From a comic book standpoint and from a video game standpoint, especially from a video game standpoint, I disagree with you. Because in a video game, I think you can really easily make sure that everybody is involved in some way. So a lot of times what they'll do in the comic books is they'll make it a mystery. And so that's, Batman's always working on the mystery side of it. It's not that big of a deal of him to have to go out and punch people or whatever. He's also doing like...
Or you have other people do that, and Batman's the one at the computer.
Right.
Sending Wonder Woman and Superman to punch the guy who's a suspect.
Right, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that in a shared universe, for a video game, you can have Batman... so let's say that the bad guy is Thanos, or not Thanos, Darkseid. In this, you can have Batman in the Batman game tracking down Desaad and figuring out what Desaad's plan is.
Side things and
Desaad is the right hand man of Darkseid, and Batman's got an incredibly important role in this of figuring out what is going on here. Why are they doing this at all? Superman's is Darkseid and bad, me need punch.
Yeah,
and that's Superman's game, and hopefully they write it better than that. But that can be Superman's game.
Well, there you go. You're running into the problem of why there's never been a good Superman game.
Right. I don't think a Superman game would be great.
But people are expecting it.
Or what about a Wonder Woman game in which she's fighting the female Furies, and there has to be this part of them saying, we don't have to be pawns of the men in our life. You don't have to do what Darkseid says. I am an ambassador and I am looked up to. I am possibly, in my opinion, one of the most important characters in the DC universe. Wonder Woman is.
Sure.
I am vastly important on my earth. Female Furies, you can be better than this. And part of it is, sure, she needs to punch the female Furies, but also part of it maybe is the conversion of Big Barda as one of the former members of the female Furies. And it's this great story of Wonder Woman talking to Barda and saying, you don't have to be this. And I think that can be really well written, really beautiful, and also tie into an overarching story of several games of Darkseid being the bad guy. Maybe Batman's trying to figure out what Desaad is doing. Wonder Woman is trying to convert Big Barda. Maybe you play as Scott-Free, as Mr. Miracle on Apocalypse. Trying to escape Apocalypse.
Right.
And maybe you cross paths with Wonder Woman and you cross paths with Barda because eventually Barda and Scott-Free end up getting married. And so maybe that's part of your storyline is the stuff that's happening in the Wonder Woman game. I really think, and the more I'm talking about it, the more cool I think this could be. I'm getting into this. Yeah,
calm down.
I want this to happen. Though I really do think that I agree with you that it couldn't be the Joker is there, because then once you got to the Superman game or the Wonder Woman game, they would fly out and punch him.
You would need just like in the MCU, there has to be some overarching mega force. And the DC universe, in my opinion, in the comics, has never been as good at Marvel or at the conflict being less about fighting. That I think Marvel's done that way better.
Agreed.
Where they've had philosophical differences that need to be overcome rather than whose muscles are bigger. And so I agree that it could work. I still think you're going to run into the problem of if Superman exists in all these times, okay, Batman needs to track them down. Superman's way faster. Superman, okay, hey, just go knock on everybody's door, or Superman can do all the things he needs to do faster. Just give me the technology you're using.
But he's not smart enough.
Okay, but yeah, that's why you have Batman's brains. I feel like the whole time...
So take the brain out of Batman.
There it is.
Shove it into Superman's
Now we're talking
body.
comic books.
Yeah.
That's literally the case right now for the Superior Spider-Man.
Take Clark Kent's brain out and shove it into Batman.
And shove it into a trash can.
A regular dude. He does nothing.
Yeah, and he's
no
just
good
some
things
guy.
other than he's buff. He's pretty buff.
Yeah, he works out.
And then you have this demigod.
Yeah, that's terrifying. No, I think I don't see how it could work unless I think it would be cool if various characters had very different games, as in genre style.
I don't know. But okay, you go ahead. I'll tell you why I don't think that would work, but you finish your thought.
See, you need to treat each character very specifically. And I think this is true for like cinematic universes also, which is why something like Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie, is more about a spy thriller,
right,
because that's who the characters you're talking about are. Whereas when you're Thor, you can have a planet hopping, destroy the goddess of death and Satan himself with your magic hammer, and it's still really
magic axe. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's true. The hammer got Mjolnir was destroyed. Whatever. Which I think they could push it farther, but you have very specific ideas, and I think that could work in games as well. The problem with that is I don't see it working commercially, because if you have people are going to want something similar they want to know what to expect.
I think you can have different story genres, but I think the gameplay needs to be similar at least, because I think there would have to be some sort of ability for a player who is familiar with one game to be able to settle in and play the other games pretty smoothly and easily.
Sure,
especially
which is
if
fair.
I'm talking like an online thing. It's got to be the same style
where
of
your
gameplay.
combat will just transfer from one to the other really easily.
But I don't think. I mean, if you take just combat, games like Assassin's Creed and Shadow of Mordor's storylines and genres are pretty different. One's high fantasy, the other one is kind of like espionage assassin type thing.
Sure.
The story genres are pretty different. Gameplay's almost identical, though.
It's very similar.
Almost identical.
I mean, that's a thing about that, or that's just true for open world exploration focus.
Both are great.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that just fine with a DC brawler style video game where you have that Batman style of things, and now we got to translate over to Wonder Woman. Okay, she's got to fight the villains and the bad guys too. Okay, we'll say that it takes her half the hits that it would normally take Batman. I looked at my watch for that for some reason.
Yeah, let's see. Look at my watch. All right.
It takes her half the hits that it would take Batman to beat regular baddies. But in this one, like I said, she's going to be doing some apocalypse type stuff. So she's fighting parademons a lot too. So at that point, it takes her the same amount of hits. By the way, combat is actually going to pretty smoothly move right over to that Wonder Woman side of things.
Sure.
Okay, so now you're the Flash in this area. Cool. It's going to be very similar combat. But guess what? We're going to take it. There was a really bad movie that was about Greek gods, and I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, the one with Leonidas.
No, that was 300.
There's a lot of bad Greek
300 was very good.
No. There's a different one, like Gods and Kings.
Oh, yeah. Not 300, not that one. But there was a totally different one at the time, because after 300 came out, they wanted to make 100 of them. Anyway, there was one, and it starred the gods of Olympus, but they had this really cool thing where the combat all looked totally normal, but when...
I know what movie you're talking about.
But when somebody got hit...
It's about Perseus.
They just kind of stopped in midair.
Yeah.
And they were like slowly floating. Oh, yeah. It might have been Clash of the Titans. It might have been the new Clash of the Titans.
Whatever. He gets a bow.
Whatever it is. Yeah. And it really showed... It's not that people are slowing down when they're hit. It's that this combat is going so fast.
It's godly combat.
It's Godspeed combat. When somebody's getting hit and hurt, then them collapsing is happening at real speed.
Them being dead means they go into
real
normal
speed, and it just looks super slow.
Right.
And you could do that with a Flash video game where your combat looks kind of like that, and it would just be super duper cool.
Sure. See, here's the problem though, is if Flash is this fast and can just beat up all these bad guys much faster than Batman, why doesn't he show up all the time?
Because he's got his own things to do.
He's fast enough. He can get there.
So you video game it. Everything
No.
video
If Batman had to call up Super Flash and be like, "Hey, come help me," like, what's the point of Batman being there at that point? The Flash could easily take out a group of bad guys. I understand Batman's a fast guy, but he's not focused. He's not going. Yes, and I think it would be a problem. I'm focused on the fact that these are very different characters, very godlike characters, and Batman's a good place to start it, I guess, because he's more human. But once you introduce the fact that, the MCU had this problem, where once you introduce the fact that these godlike beings exist, why aren't they there?
So you could have like, here's a mission I'm thinking about. In the Batman game, you bring Flash over because so-and-so has put bombs all over the city, but they have to be deactivated from a control point and from the bomb itself at the same time. So Flash, I need your help. I'm going to sit here behind this console and I need you to zoom to every bomb, and when you're there, we'll deactivate them at the same time. And both of them are physically defending their strongholds. You know, they got to punch things because it's a video game.
Sure.
But at the same time, Flash's speed is important, and Bruce Wayne's, computer knowledge is important. Then we transition over to the Flash side of things, and, you know, in the Flash game, maybe we reach a moment where there's a really complicated mystery involved,
or a computer system that needs to be hacked.
Yeah, and Batman, I need your help, or something to that nature. Like, you can distill the characters and give them their jobs as their distilled.
Yeah,
characters.
I feel like I understand that's a good explanation. I think the problem there is that they're just going to feel like mini games.
Oh, and they will be. Absolutely will be.
Right, and they need to be able to be done without somebody online. Which means you just press a button and Flash does it for you real quick.
And
which is fine.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's a thing.
That'll happen. But Spider-Man PS4 was a phenomenal video game.
Sure.
And it had its share of little mini games.
And they were mostly terrible. Like the doing the stuff in the laboratory was such a waste of time.
I loved those things.
You are the one person in the world who enjoyed doing those absolutely arbitrary puzzles that made no sense.
To me, it was a good break from swing punch guys cutscene. Swing
maybe
punch
twice
guys cutscene.
But there's way too much of it.
I love it. All right, maybe
hey,
I am the minority.
You are.
Whatever. Wow.
Moving on. We're moving
wow,
on.
Fox.
It's just a fact. For now.
Yeah, for now that's true. But I enjoyed those. But they were annoying for a couple of reasons, I would say, from your side of things. Number one, because they felt like a waste of time. They didn't have anything to do with the story.
Yeah.
It didn't progress anything.
Most of the time.
And number two, it seemed, as far as the actual literal thing you were doing in story, kind of arbitrary. Like, go test these gases.
Yeah.
That was one of the literal things you were doing. I think these kind of mini games in a Batman game or a Flash game could impact the storyline.
Sure.
Could be important.
Oh, yeah.
to it.
I mean, a lot of this comes down to the writing, of course.
Right.
All of it, comes down to, there were arbitrary mini games in the Arkham series before, and the writing, and they were annoying, like the Riddler stuff that we goof on a lot, but the writing was incredible. And so you were willing to forgive like the tank combat, which made no sense, because you loved the story. And so that can happen 100%. Arkham Knight is still a great game, even if it has these stupid mini games. What I think would be a good solution to, I think power creep's always going to be your issue.
Right.
But I think you need to, people need to be willing to accept that it's not what they've seen before. Mm-hmm. That's always true in a translation to a new genre to make it work with your new medium. But have your time scale, start as Batman, you have your first Batman game, and then at the end, your computer system detects a spaceship crashing into the Midwest, and that's Superman's spaceship. As a baby, you're young Batman still. Maybe it's Batman Year One or something like that. And so, that
would throw the timeline off so much if that were the case.
It's fine.
But, yeah.
Yeah, but it would be interesting.
Yeah.
You got it. If you're just doing what you've already seen, then there's not really any point. I think. As far as the story goes,
really cool to have it be like 3 games. It begins with the exact same cutscene of, and I'll just use these 3 characters because that's what I've said several times: Batman, Flash, and Wonder Woman.
Sure.
In the exact same place, and they all release like a year apart from each other. And you go through that same initial part, the initial battle, but as a different character each time. And then 20 minutes into the game, you say, we have to split up. You take this, you take that, I'll take this. But then you cross over sometimes. You touch base with each other sometimes.
Yeah, you have little,
whatever.
Yeah.
And like I said, little mini game type things with someone else. Then when the second game comes out, you play that. It's 100% from Flash's perspective. But then you have moments where you're like, I remember that from the last game, or that makes sense, or, oh, I can't believe that was happening. I did this as Batman in that game, but now I'm doing this as Flash. Oh my gosh, what is that going to mean for Wonder Woman over there?
Right.
Or things like that.
Which could be really cool. Absolutely. I think that's a cool
really
thing.
cool.
The closest I can think of in video games for a shared universe where it's not just one story progressing through sequels, I think would be Resident Evil, right?
Yeah.
Where you have 2 and 3 are basically simultaneous, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so you have different characters. They're pretty much unrelated. As far as I know, I haven't played 3.
So here's what I'll say, actually, because Resident Evil's a really good pull for this. 4 is afterward, but still some of the things that happen in the previous games play into 4.
Well, sure, that's
particularly
typical
into
for
2
games.
and things like that. But especially with 2 and 3, it is really cool to see the things that are happening on one side of Raccoon City that are also happening on the other side.
Yeah, we're going to be playing 3 in a couple months here, and I'm excited to see how it ties in.
There are also side games that are like Outbreak, Resident Evil Outbreak is one of them.
Yeah.
There are also side things that are canonical that happen, and you see them happen, and you're like, oh, that was just before this other thing over there. Like, from somebody who played a lot of the early Resident Evil games, yeah, they were in a shared universe, and you know what? They were super cool for it. Especially later on when you see Chris Redfield again in 6 and 7, or 5 and then 7, and you're like, oh, that's where Chris went. That had nothing to do with 4.
Sure.
But it's important to the shared universe.
Right.
And so I think that Resident Evil is a great example of how, and it hasn't fully bought into shared universe things, but
no,
it's definitely put its toes in it.
It doesn't face the issue of, Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy all basically have the same skill set.
Right.
And one of them's not just like the god amongst,
right.
the others.
They wouldn't be able to do that, but you can pull from comics for that. Comics has been dealing with that issue for decades.
Ah, nice. Dealing with that issue.
Yeah, yeah.
But they've also failed a lot.
They have failed a lot.
All the best stories you ever hear of in the DC universe are mostly just one-shots or like non-canon that take characters and do something interesting with them.
Hey, we both just read Doomsday Clock, and it was very good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not in canon.
Doomsday Clock?
I don't think it is. Is it?
Yeah. It's 100% in canon, yeah.
Sure. It also was unrelated to, like, it didn't really affect other things. It's my problem with comics right now, especially with MCU, with the whole X-Men universe thing happening right now. It doesn't seem to affect everybody else, even though it's it's a whole thing. Yes. But yeah, I am tentatively interested in seeing, especially if it's starting with an Arkham game. They've consistently been pretty good. Arkham Origins was not so much, but it still wasn't bad. It had problems on PC.
And it
wasn't Rocksteady.
Yeah.
And this won't be either, apparently. This is going to be like Warner Brothers Montreal. Oh no.
I think it's that same alarm every time.
Every time I gotta go.
My God.
My daughter's gotta go to the bathroom now. No. So I'm tentatively interested in seeing how this can work. I'm hoping that the story is good enough to make me just kind of forgive the logic that's inevitable in comic book problems.
Yeah.
Where there's going to be power creep. Why isn't this character doing this? Maybe from the start they're trying to rescue Superman, and so he's unable to be there. And then at the very end, you get to play as Superman and wreck shop. Like,
that would be super
and give
cool.
you that power.
Yeah.
Which feels like, or here and there, like there's flashbacks where you play as Superman or something. Maybe that's a mystery that needs to be solved. Where did whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow? It's an Alan Moore Superman storyline.
I mean, even the Lego games do a pretty good job of that, where when you get to be Superman, guess what? You're invincible.
Sure.
You can't die. In
That's
the Lego
a little different,
DC
though.
games, things like that.
But absolutely.
Maybe they give you a vignette, where you play as Superman and you can't die. You fly down into New York,
which would be interesting.
And you just walk around and you can wreck shop, and it's a 5-minute thing that you do in the game, but then you transition back over to Flash or Batman.
Right, yeah. I mean, with The Witcher 3, they did that with flashbacks with Ciri. Not flashbacks, really. More like, like side flashes, I guess, where you just kind of saw her storyline a little bit. And that happens in the books as well, where you're just kind of, not really. It's really about her mostly. But anyway, so yeah, there are good examples that they can learn from. And I'm hoping that they have an entire plan. Like, have an entire story planned out from the start. Do not try to wing it, guys.
Yes.
Learn from the DCEU.
Yes.
Do not try to wing it. Also, don't let Zack Snyder be a part of this.
Roll up a magazine.
Yeah, no, he's gonna be at the windows like a
hey guys,
like an orphan in a Charles Dickens novel, like.
and
you need to like go close the blinds so that more. No.
Get the spray bottle. Zach's back again.
Release the dogs. Just chase them off. Yeah, don't let him be a part of it. He thinks he has great ideas. He doesn't. His best movies are where he just adapted somebody else's ideas.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
guys, let us know what you think about a shared universe, video game universe.
That one.
Let us know what you think about the potential, the things that you think would be really cool, or maybe some ways that you think they'd fail miserably.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you to Granger for the use of their song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and some of my neighbors do too, off the album Dear Sam. Go check that out. And always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings